Jambo, my name is Bonventure and this is Moving Pictures Kenya. If you are a Kenyan living in Pennsylvania and you are not a member of the Kenyan community in Pennsylvania, then you are missing out. Today, our discussion focuses on the Kenyan community in Pennsylvania.
Kenyan community in Pennsylvania is not entirely new. We used to have the original Kenya community in Pennsylvania, and the way that organization used to work, we only used to meet once to hold a Madaraka Day. So that organization is the one that started Madaraka Day, but the organization was not actually organizing, it was the men. I don't know, you've heard of the men's group. So we still had the men's group. We were contributing $50 each. I think that went on from probably 2013 when that organization was holding the event. So they would reach out to men every summer. Hey, Madaraka Day imekuja, see you guys, you contribute the normal, ndio watu wakule mbuzi pale park na kina mama wapike. So that's how the Kenya community in Pennsylvania was. But it reached a point last year when the community asked, are we really benefiting from this organization? How can we make it more community-centric? Meaning, how can it help the community? Because we used to hear that we had sponsors. Nobody knew who those sponsors were, where the money was going. We didn't know any of that. So in August of last year, August of 2023, the community met for Madaraka Day. We met in June because we always do Madaraka Day in June. But when we met in June, we had contributed and we had extra contributions. So the men said, let's have a follow-up meeting where we can come and eat more goat and talk about what we need to know about Kenya community in Pennsylvania, because it had some of issues. And so we held a meeting in Middletown in August of 2023. And in that meeting, we called the officials who are running that organization. And we told them we need more accountability, we need to know what's going on. We hear you guys get sponsorship. Where does this money go? Does that money, is it ever used to advance anything for the community? So basically the community demanded accountability. And so even before the meeting ended, some of them left. So everybody who was left, we decided, all right, now we need to organize ourselves. How do we organize ourselves? We need to start by getting officials. So we had impromptu elections, and we elected officials. We elected a chairman, a vice chair, a treasurer, secretary, an organizing secretary, and committee members. And that was in August. However, even though we had the officials elected, we did not have an organized mandate, meaning we needed a constitution, we needed bylaws, and kind of organize ourselves in some form of legal structure. So in December of 2023, the officials completed writing the initial constitution and the bylaws. We completed that in the month of November. And we adopted them. I believe it was in November 19 of 2023. We adopted the constitution and the bylaws. We went to the IRS. We obtained an EIN. We went to the state of Pennsylvania and registered the organization with the officials who had been elected. So soon after that, we started brainstorming. All right, now we have a constitution, we have bylaws. What is the biggest problem that we have? The biggest problem that we had at that point was the issue of bereavement. I don't know whether it was post-COVID, but there were so many people dying. There was a time we had, I think, 3 bereavements in a 2-week stretch. And of course, because there was no organization, it's, hey, we know so and so, si tumchangie, you know, just like we do home. And so if you have 3 of those back to back, it's very tiring and very demanding, because we Kenyans are generous. So you cannot take $25 and say, hey, this is my contribution of $25. So maybe you're contributing, say, $50 times 3, that's 150, and you're doing it within like 2 weeks. So that's too much. So we figured out, how do we lessen this burden for the community and also help the bereaved in a way that doesn't cause a lot of conflict and burden. At the same time, how can we emotionally support these people who are bereaved? How do we make sure they have the resources they need to, if they are able to go home, to get a quick ticket? Because when people call you from home, na kuna matanga, you know, in most communities it's a question of a week to 2 weeks, so you need to go quick. If you don't have money, there's no way you're gonna make it, right? So we started the welfare. That we came up with the idea of the welfare. Now we do understand there was a group that was talking about forming a welfare, but obviously they hadn't organized themselves to be able to poll the members and get members. So when we registered the bylaws, now we had a document which we could sell to members and say, this is the contract between KCIP and you if you want to join the welfare, and these are the stipulations for the welfare. So that happened we got registered in December of 2023, and then in January of 2024 we sold the idea, and then March of 2024, that's when we started enrollment of the KCIP welfare. So in effect, KCIP welfare does not exist without KCIP.
So apart from the welfare, what else did you want to do?
Kenyans make a lot of money in the US, but there's so many things that you do not know about debt, about investing. So for instance, like you have a young guy here, he's soon gonna be going to college. How do you make sure he goes to college and you are able to financially support him? So there's that financial literacy which is lacking within our community, and we think we can use KCIP to further that and to educate people.
Did you have children when you moved here?
When we first settled in Pennsylvania, most of us did not have children. And right now, so for instance, like myself, I have 2 children who are born here. The firstborn is going on to 21, and I have another one who's going on to 16. And that is the same with a lot of Kenyans. So we have a lot of teens.
How is KCIP helping the Kenyan teens in Pennsylvania?
America is very difficult, and especially for teens. So how do we bring them and give them advice as a community? So KCIP, that was one of the other things that we thought we could use that vehicle to help our youth. And of course we have the young ones. How can we do stuff for them so that they plug into the community? So for instance, can we hold like an ice cream social for them? So we bring an ice cream truck there, and we bring these young people and they play with their friends.
How is the American society compared to the Kenyan society?
This is a very lonely society. So for instance, you can see all these houses surrounding here. Everybody minds their own business, but that's not the way we are as Kenyans. We like connecting. So if you have young kids, they need to know that they have other kids from the same heritage whom they can meet and socialize with.
So who are your target members, and who should enroll into the Kenyan community in Pennsylvania?
Kenyan community in Pennsylvania, as the name suggests, is open to all members of Kenyan descent or friends of Kenya who live in Pennsylvania. in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So it doesn't matter where you are in Pennsylvania. We know there are other groups, community groups that are organized here and there by other Kenyans. But if you want to join us and build this big umbrella group, we're not asking you to leave the group you're plugged in right now. But if you feel like you do not have a real group, social group, or a community that can support you, be your emotional outlet, KCIP is open to all Kenyans of Kenyan or people of Kenyan descent who live in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
As you have said, there are many Kenyan groups in Pennsylvania, or groups that purport to be for Kenyans in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
What makes the Kenyan community different, or what makes the Kenyan community in Pennsylvania different from those other groups?
Accountability is one, and then we are the only group that is open to anybody in Pennsylvania. We have regional groups in maybe Lancaster, we have regional groups in Reading, we have regional groups in maybe a place like the Poconos, which cater for people there. We are the only group that caters for anybody who lives in Pennsylvania, whether you live in Pittsburgh, whether you live at the farthest end of Pennsylvania to the east or the north near Canada, whether you're in Erie, Pennsylvania, and you're a Kenyan, we welcome you to join this group. Again, we are the only, I think we are the only group in the U.S. organized of Kenyans that has a website, which we completed building earlier this year. I don't believe, because when we were building that website, I was in charge of that, and I did research to try and see what are other groups doing, and I couldn't find any other Kenya community in the U.S. that had a website. The closest that I found was I think a group in Ontario, Canada, but that was it. So what I'm driving at here is to show you the level of organization. That's what we are priding ourselves in. I don't know whether you attended this Madaraka Day that we had this past weekend, and just look at the way that event was organized. It was a community event, yes, but there are people who are trying to make it so that everybody feels welcome and everything is where it's supposed to be. I know we Kenyans like shortcuts. Kenya community in Pennsylvania, we are not taking any shortcuts.
Those who want to be members, what do they need to do?
So to be a member of Kenya community in Pennsylvania, there's nothing that you need. We have a WhatsApp group, and it's open to anybody. So if you know someone who's a member of Kenya community in Pennsylvania, you can ask them to invite you, or you can ask the officials, because if you go to the website, you're gonna see, you're gonna learn more about us. We can like enrolling in that social group is free of charge. The only thing that you need money to get into is the welfare. And to get into the welfare, there's annual enrollment, membership fee, non-refundable membership fee of $100. And I'll explain a little bit later why that $100 when we start talking about the welfare arm. So to join KCIP, it's free. So long as you're a Kenyan, you might not even be a Kenyan, you want to join, it's totally free.
At the moment in Kenya, everybody talks about power. So in your opinion, what is the power of the Kenyan community in Pennsylvania?
Well, apart from being that group where Kenyans can plug in, we've grown in numbers. We are a lot of Kenyans in Pennsylvania right now, and we have to recognize those numbers. And what do those numbers mean? If you look at when elections come, the margins of victory in like local elections, in like school districts, where a lot of policy emanates, is decided by just a few hundred, or even a few tens of votes. So Kenyans must realize that if we are organized as a group, we have a lot of power to, one, decide who is representing us politically, decide who is in the school boards. There's a lot of nonsense going on around, like especially in the school system, and the people who make decisions about what our kids are learning in school are the school boards, and those are elected officials. We are big enough to have representation there. Not even that. For instance, in the state capital, we have large enough numbers. Even if we are not going to have one of us at the capital, we can decide who's going to go to the capital. We can rally around one person and make that determination of who is going to the capital. We have one representative in the area who is very plugged into the Kenyan community, and he has to be, because I see, for instance, like in the local elections, the margin of victory sometimes is like 200 votes. Kenyans, we are more than 200. We can make a difference. If that person is we're going to send him to the state, and he's going to advocate for us. What do I mean by advocating for us? A lot of Kenyans are in the trades, like transport, right? They need help. There are a lot of Kenyans who are in the nursing field, like most of our wives are in the nursing profession. They need a voice. They need someone who's going to advocate for them, because this country, things are fairly difficult, and especially if you're not represented, we need that person who's going to be our voice, right? And we have a lot of Kenyan professionals.
How can you compare Kenyan immigrants to those immigrants from other African countries?
We just need to organize ourselves better. For instance, Nigerians are very, very, very well organized, and they are doing big things. We are more educated. We can do things much bigger than they are doing right now. But for us to be able to do that, we have to be organized. And that's where KCIP comes in.
Thank you, Francis, for those insights. Next, we shall be looking at the Kenyan community in Pennsylvania welfare. We will be discussing issues relating on the benefits of you being a member of the Kenyan community in Pennsylvania, and more specifically, the welfare arm. My name is Bonaventure, and this is Moving Pictures Kenya, connecting people, inspiring Africa.